Hey, it's your favorite comedian, Anthony Rogers, live in his tour bus, yeah. But also, you need to get a beard like this. People have been talking. They said your shit looks whack. It looks weird. They can't tell your pronouns. You need to get a beard like this right now. And the only way to do that is by using Luxurious Bastard Beard Oil. Great smell, great function, great everything. Just get this. And there's directions on how to use it if you know how to read. But use the link in the description. Go to the website. Use promo code LEGENDARY. Get a discount. Do it. Thank you. Bam. Smokies Edibles. Gluten-free. Dairy-free. Vegan. No corn syrup. Way better than other edibles on the market. Get them, get them, get them. Eat responsibly, obviously. Like when you watch the show and you're not doing anything or you're at work or anything like that. That's obvious, but some people have to hear that. Definitely, these are the watermelon. My favorite are the peach. I just grabbed these last night for something different. Sour watermelon sounded cool. I've had them before, but I just wanted a little something different, you know. Make sure that's 21 and over. Make sure they're 21 and over. Buy them for yourself. They're amazing. Eat them before the show. Eat them before every episode, like me.
So I'm Dennis with the Anthony Rogers Show podcast. My question for you is, what would you do if you became president to help the working class?
Well, you know, I think the principal thing right now is housing. The price of housing is going up, and it's beyond the reach of most American families.
Along with oil and gas and food.
Inflation is hurting everybody. And inflation is more complex. I can't say that I'm going to stop inflation overnight. What I can say is that I'm going to stop the long-term cause of inflation. I'm going to unravel a war machine. I'm going to reduce dramatically healthcare costs by ending the chronic disease.
Welcome back to the greatest podcast that has ever existed, the Anthony Rogers Show, live from God's favorite state, Missouri. We have a crazy episode tonight. Not necessarily crazy, but I'm actually hyped about it. Crazy in a good way, not like in a lunatic way, you know. So a lot of people have been talking about a lot of words we can and cannot say, you think, the vaccine, Pfizer, and all that stuff like that. We're not supposed to say, right? But we have somebody that formerly worked there to validate what people have been saying for 4 years, and probably all of you already know. But we're going to go into it more depth with Melissa McAtee. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm really good. How are you?
Good. I love the formalities after we've already been talking for 15 minutes. I'm like, how are you? Like, we already did that, right? But they didn't see that, you know. So
but they need to hear how you are.
Yeah, we had to redo it for them, you know. But no, I appreciate you having the courage to come out and say this. A lot of people in your field won't talk about this. So I mean, I think that's very brave, and I think it's very American. And I think that America needs people like you to kind of do this. And so a little bit of your backstory. What hit me first is like you're a born again Christian.
Yes, I was a far left, bisexual, liberal, atheist for most of my life.
What changed that before we start this up?
Well, while working at Pfizer, I worked with some Christians in my department, and they challenged my atheist beliefs, and I tried to research to disprove God, and I came out on the other end, and I was so depressed that I was wrong, that I was getting ready to kill myself, and God intervened. And that was in January of 2019. And ever since then, my life has just been radically different and changed.
How did God intervene, if you might explain?
Well, at the time, I didn't really know what it was, but I'd never read scripture. I had studied all the science and all of that stuff to disprove the Bible without reading the Bible. And so I was so depressed, I wanted to kill myself. And I just was getting ready to wreck my car at very high speeds. And I heard this voice in my head, and it said, read the sinner's prayer. And I had never heard of that. And so I Googled it and read it out loud. And I was expecting like some kind of magical thing to happen, and it didn't. So I got angry and threw my phone. But I think the whole reason he had me read that was so that I understood what a prayer of repentance is, because I kind of understood from reading that. And I said, I'm really sorry that I've done things to feel this way. I know it's all my fault. I believe who you are. I believe who your son is. And please change me. Please, I want to feel better. Please help me. And after that, it was, I felt the Holy Spirit, which, again, at the time, I didn't know what it was. I thought I was absolutely crazy. I'd never heard of this kind of stuff before. Went to work, and I asked some of my Christian friends, and they were ecstatic. They told me I'd been born again, received the Holy Spirit, and it's just been a roller coaster ever since then.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I'm atheist, and all of us have, or I was atheist, sorry, and all of us have a similar experience. It's funny. So I definitely believe and like think that's awesome that God definitely draft picked you. You know, like this. That's what I call Jesus' draft pick. Like he basically comes to each and every person somehow. Like everyone has.
He met me where I was. You know, he gave me what I needed in that time to know that what I experienced was real.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Everyone that I've literally, this is the fourth day of people that have told me that in a row, and I did not know that until I did my homework on you today, which is crazy too. But okay, so back to the actual reason people are probably hearing stuff like that. So you were an employee at Pfizer basically at one point, and then like, and you found out a lot of the stuff that people have been saying like on the internet for like literally 4 years is actually true, and like you have a lot of the documents and a lot of the evidence of this, like more so. So go and start us off with that, your experience there, if that's cool.
Yeah, so I was 19 years old. I'd been laid off from a job that I really liked due to them not liking me, is essentially what it came down to. And my mom told me, go work at Hospira, is what it used to be in the small town of McPherson, Kansas. And I had no idea what it was. I just listened to her. I went and applied. I got hired I walked in and they hired me at Kelly Services, which was a temp agency for Hospira. And they hired me as a pharmaceutical assistant, which was basically a pack line person. You clear the room, get the room ready, pack the product. You're the last eyes to see it before it goes to the customer. And I did that for about 5 years. Half of that time was night shift, 12-hour shifts. And then I got promoted to days. They liked that I never made any mistakes and I would catch defective product before it would reach the final package. And so they came up, one of my friends in the department came up to me and said, you need to come work for us. You'll actually save us work instead of make work for us. And so I did. I applied. They hired me. And I loved the job. Absolutely loved being quality because you were your own boss. You kind of had power in the sense of like you could shut the whole plant down if you wanted to, if you found a reason. And I really liked it. And we had to go through some really extensive training. They train you about 6 months, which kind of helps weed people out because it is intensive training because you have to go through very specific training that's done by Pfizer. I did not have a college degree. I just had a high school diploma. And I loved it. And then after becoming a Christian, people would tell me that Pfizer was bad. Oh, by the way, Pfizer bought Hospira in 2015. And so I noticed a huge transition. It was a totally different company after Pfizer took over. But when I became a Christian, I started to kind of, I don't know, care more about the world and care more about what I was doing to contribute to society. And then in 2019, they wanted me to sign off on some questionable product, the safety. They wanted me to sign off on some stuff that couldn't be proven if it had been inspected or not. And so even though it probably was, it couldn't be proven that it was. And normally that would halt the process and the product would go on hold. I fought with them for about 3 hours before they typed up a document that said, I don't agree with this moving forward, but I have to sign. So that's essentially what it was. And that's when I started to doubt their integrity, their safety concerns over money. So
it's crazy. So what did you find out while working there, stuff like that, like about the vaccine to be more exact?
Well, when COVID rolled out, I wasn't awake. I didn't become awake until after whistleblowing. Okay. So there's a lot of things I was really naive to. Some people, we had started this Pfizer Vaccine Council group on Facebook that had hundreds of members of people who were refusing their vaccine mandate. And there was all this talk like, have you heard graphene oxides in the vaccine? Have you heard luciferases in the vaccine? All these different stories. And people would send interviews, or like a Stu Peters show was the main one that was sent quite a bit. And I started watching them. And one of them was about luciferase being in the vaccine. And then another was about graphene oxide. And I shared the graphene oxide story on my Facebook. And I got called by, well, I was told I had to take it down. And so Facebook fact checked me. It got taken down. Work told me to take it down. And the fact check was there is no evidence of graphene oxide in the vaccine. Well, they vastly discredited this study from Spain that showed graphene oxide was in the vaccine. And the fact check actually said that the report was not proven to be a real report, that it was just hearsay, essentially. So I looked in the Pfizer database and found the report and posted it online. And that's when a Pfizer lawyer called me and told me either take it down or be fired. So I asked this lawyer, I tried to reach to his humanity, and I said, don't you think it's odd that you have to tell me to take down a Facebook post? And he just kind of, well, Melissa, you signed an NDA. And I go, actually, I haven't. And he's like, well, you need to go sign that. And I'm like, okay. And then I never did, of course. But it just all kind of snowballed. The first thing.
Dumb down those ingredients for me if you could. What exactly those 2 ingredients do? Dumb it down for me a little bit.
So the graphene oxide, to my knowledge, is micro nanoparticles that can self-assemble within the body to create some kind of wireless system. And it's also toxic to humans. That's my understanding. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. That's just my understanding from what I've read. And then luciferase is something that is used in testing a lot of vaccines and other internal intravenous medicines, that when they study on these rats or whatever they study on, they can see the glowing within the body to see where that vaccine went into their body. And when I first saw the vaccine, when we first started working on it in my actual plant, it illuminated a light. It kind of glowed. I don't want to say it glowed like a glow stick, but like if you cracked a glow stick, left it on a table for a few hours, that's what it was. And it would color shift, which I see millions of units. Okay. And people who have been in the plant 50 years had never seen stuff like this that behaved this way. It didn't match the documentation saying, it would say it was a clear to a light yellow, when that's partially true, because if it's on a white background, it is clear to partially yellow. But then when you put it on anything darker, even just gray, it will color shift to like a periwinkle glow. And that needed to be documented in order for it to be an approved product. From a quality standpoint, it fails if it does not match that paperwork. And when I elevated that to my boss the first day, he said, he freaked out because he was vaccinated. He freaked out. He messaged his boss, wanted to know what was going on. I told him to go down there and look at it for himself if he didn't believe me. And he told me, I said, why doesn't the paperwork match? And he just said, apparently under Operation Warp Speed, it's okay.
That's insane. So like you have some of that documents you're showing me about the nanoparticles. Like pull that up if you would for me, because
the
like
nanotech, yeah.
Because that's crazy that you even have that. Like I don't know anybody else that has that. Like that's basically evidence of what everybody's been saying for like years.
Yeah, I've shared it a couple times, but some people don't really know what they're reading if I can't explain it.
That's why, yeah, I'd like you to dumb it down for myself. I'm a caveman as well, so I appreciate it.
So the main part I focus on this is where it says the names. So it talks about nanotechnology being used in the COVID vaccine. So people were saying there were microchips in the vaccine, which weren't true. And they could fact check people on that because this is not micro technology. This is nano. So it's even smaller.
Huh.
And if you can see here, this is a question and answer sheet from their database. So like it would have questions and topics, then the answers, right? So here you can see Nanotechnology Characterization Lab, established in 2004 as an interagency collaboration among NCI, NIST, and FDA, dedicated to cancer research and now temporarily open to COVID applications. So it says it uses it in vivo and vitro, which means in test subjects, physical living bodies, and in petri dishes. And then if you go down, I believe it talks about the T cell dependent stuff, which I'm not going to lie, that's kind of T cells to me are cancer. That's essentially what I call them, but I know that there's a more scientific terminology for it. LNP means lipid nanoparticle. Has some data where RNA. So yeah, and that's basically it. This here just shows that yes, nanotechnology is available for COVID applications.
Huh. That's crazy. So yeah, no, everybody like, how many people got deplatformed for saying that? And like you said, like, and how many people? I mean, that's
because they kept saying microchips.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen that, mm-hmm. And then so explain what does the nano? What does that do to us when they consume? I mean, not us because I didn't take it, but like, what did that do to the people that took that? You think, or whatever terminology?
So I can only speculate, but to my educated opinion, Dr. Anna Mahalcha has shown under microscope this stuff of blood of the vaccinated people. And what it is showing is these little, I think she calls them quantum dots, and hydrogel and nanotechnology is all what it is. And the different things that I've gathered is that it's self-assembling. So like within the body, it self-assembles. Now, some people think that's caused by 5G. I don't know. I can't prove that. I have no idea.
I think you're the only way you could prove. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's no way I can prove that other than I'm sure somebody's out there studied it. I haven't. I've seen arguments on both sides now over the years, because I originally came out in 2021, which my opinions have changed since when I first came out, because when I first came out, I was certain it was luciferase that was causing that glow. But Dr. Anna Mahalcha shows that it's the nanotech causing that glow, and that basically people can emit their own Wi-Fi, a Bluetooth signal that received this, and that it is capable, I hate to say this, but it is capable of interacting with your body. So it can do things like mind control, or it can do things. Bill Gates has this patent where it connects your body to cryptocurrency. And that's right. And there's actual patents. I've seen them. I actually produce a show called Vax Choice, VAXX Choice, all one. And they actually have the patents. They go through and prove everything that they claim with these patents. And I actually am in charge of producing the show. So I get to read the patents and see all the proof, and it's all there. It scares me. I do believe it's editing your genes, which are made up of DNA. However, and they had a lot to say about CRISPR-Cas9 technology with mRNA in the database that I read.
Dumb that down for me a little bit.
CRISPR-Cas9 is something out of a sci-fi movie. I believe the King Kong movies talk about CRISPR, because I had heard it before. That's why it kind of perked my ears when I saw it in the database. But it's basically nanotechnology that goes into your DNA, and it clips out information sections and inserts new information. And the part that they take out just falls off and dies, essentially. And that's what CRISPR-Cas9 does.
That is crazy.
They frame it up as this positive thing, though, right? That we can erase cancer. We can go in there and go into people's genetics that have all these problems, and we can help all these poor people. Don't you want to help all these poor children and all these? Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. That's they're monsters, man. Like Gates is a monster for sure. And you do the same thing with computers. I mean, you fake infected all the computers to sell them antivirus software. I mean, I feel it's insane, and I think it's all depopulation and sterilization. I think that this is like either the guys from the Book of Revelation, or these guys trying to be the guys from the Book of Revelation. I'm not really sure which, but I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's depopulation and sterilization?
Well, if I can find it, yes, I just did here. There is a document they had. They had several documents, but a lot were in Chinese or Asian writing, so I couldn't really read it. But one that I could read was this. If I can find it. Here we go.
I love that you have the evidence. I love that.
Now, as you can see, it's called Dragon Claw, Pfizer Cross-Cultural Session, TBC, October 2021. And it talked about, this is all I could see, because as you can see on the lower right-hand corner, it says preview. I could preview things, but I couldn't fully view the entire thing without logging in with my login information, and I wasn't going to do that. So here, if you look, it says the 3 major causes of depopulation were massacre, sexual abuse, and disease. And that's all I could see. And I think Dragon Claw looks kind of nefarious. It looks kind of bad when you Google the website and you go to it. It's, again, one of those things that are framed up to be a positive thing, but I don't view it that way. Why do they have stuff like this in their database? I just thought that was weird. I also have a document where they talked about Satan, and they were praising Satan in the database, which... I played around in this database. Okay. So I wanted to see if anybody could put anything in the database, and you can't. It has to be a high level employee. You have to go through certain hoops. Nothing I do could be put into the database. But for example, I got written up.
This is a Pfizer database?
Pfizer database, yes.
Okay,
That's
sorry. Go
quality,
ahead.
I had access to it.
I didn't want to verify before you go ahead. I interrupted you. Sorry, I meant to.
Yes, it was an internal database, which I didn't know was an internal database until I posted the graphene oxide report from Spain, and the lawyer called me and said, no, that's from the internal database. You can't be sharing stuff off there.
How he told him and stuff. That's crazy. So, that's insane. Like that you have the documents too. And what a gay name for depopulation too. It's like I feel insulted that they're going to destroy the world with such a lame name. You know, it's like they need a cooler name than Dragon Claw for to kill all my loved ones. You know, that's how I feel. You know, I feel
yeah. And here's the Satan one, which again, this isn't somebody's homework or this isn't somebody being a joke. You know, this was saved in there. Why? And it's old, 2013, but it says repentance bound, Satan, his personality, power, and sounds like it's quoting a book, but why is this in there?
I heard that a lot too. That I heard that they're trying to that evil was trying to kill people before they had the time to repent and come to Jesus and stuff.
Yes, that's what. Yeah,
I heard a lot of that. I heard a lot of that. That's crazy. And like, I mean, what a world! What a world! You know, it's just like, I mean, we're close to globalization. We're close to a global currency. We're close to a one world religion and all that stuff. It's like, I mean, it's just like I'm probably happy to see it all. You know, because like it's going to end regardless. I'm kind of happy to be here for the end. But it is like terrifying at the same time, you know.
It is kind of cool to actually be a part of something biblical that's never happened in our life or in history ever.
Yeah.
I wanted to show, I don't know if your people who watch you have seen some of my stuff. I have all of my evidence on my ex Twitter page, which is Melissa McAtee 92. So if people, you know, want to see more, it's on there. But this is the vials and what they looked like on the table. There we go. You see that?
The vials of what? What is that?
That's the COVID vaccine.
Oh, okay. I've never even been around it because I just knew it was a lie immediately.
Yeah. So this
crazy.
is it. Mm-hmm. And nothing looks like this. Some people will say, you know, oh, well, that's the reflection from the cap. Well, I also took pictures, you know, of regular product so that I could with different color caps so that people can see, you know, that this isn't it's not a normal thing.
I heard you say on an interview that, or maybe the host said, one of you two said that basically no one was allowed to take pictures of that, like while they're getting it or whatever. That was like a big deal and stuff.
Yes, that was very important to them that people not see it. They actually placed the labels lower than any other product, and we've had to do recalls for labels. We've had millions of dollars of product sent back to us to relabel because they were a little crooked. So the label position matters, but they placed the label so low on the product that people couldn't see it. And you could if you knew what you were looking for. That's the thing. But after speaking to a lot of nurses and doctors and healthcare professionals or just people who gave the shot, they don't look for it. When I went to have my son in the hospital, they tried to give me a Pfizer product, and I told them I refused to get it until I could inspect it. And they were like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I want to check it. I was all doped up on.
They're not used to being challenged. I mean, they're not used to being challenged.
And they were like so scared. They're like, what is she doing? And my mom goes, she used to be in quality at Pfizer. So she's making sure her product is safe. Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean it might not be safe? What could be in there? And I'm like, there could be metal, glass, hair, boogers, cardboard, plastic, rubber. There could be anything in there. And I found all of those things in there.
You know, it's bad when somebody that worked at Pfizer won't take the product. You know, I think that says everything about them as a company.
Everybody won't take it. Here's the thing. When I was a 20-year-old and just got hired and we were doing all this rework and we'd be sitting around just talking and people would say, including myself, we'd be like, I hope if we ever go to the hospital, I'm unconscious because I'm not going to want to take anything they give me.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I can't even go to a hospital. That shit weirds me out. And I'm kind of a moron, like medically and like scientifically and stuff. I'm not even like smart at all. I'm not trying to pretend I am. But I could tell when I'm being lied to. And I could tell like the inauthenticity immediately. So I remember like watching the whole thing. I remember like watching them, and I'm like, it'd be like Donald Trump in a room with like 20 people, being like, don't be in a room more than 3 or more. And I'm like, you don't even believe what you're saying. And then these guys like Fauci just seemed like a demon. I was like, that guy's a demon or something. And then Bill Gates just is such a bad liar. And like,
he smiles all the time.
He has no poker face at all. And these people are just telling this. And then I remember, okay, I dated a girl when I was in my 20s. Her dad had cancer, and they basically bankrupted his entire family, like pretty much. So I'm like, if there was a cure for something, they're not going to give it to me. They literally prey on people and prey on them wanting to be alive and take all their assets every time they're sick.
They want customers for life, and then when you die, they want to profit off that too.
Yeah, they want to sell you a funeral. That's what they're doing to my mom. Like, my mom's sick right now, and so they basically sell her pills. All these obese people are like, here's what you do to be healthy. And I'm just like, does no one see through this? Like, I'm just like, it's just like crazy to me that somebody morbidly obese is giving health advice. First off, and then like pills are the answer. And I'm like watching this happen. And then when I got her to stop buying all their pills, they try to sell her a funeral. You know what I mean? I'm just like, what are you guys? You guys are monsters and demons, and it's crazy, man. And that just goes to. I've seen that happen in several cases, man. Like, I don't trust those guys. I wouldn't. I mean, I'd maybe save their life if there was a hospital fire. I'd maybe save their life, but that's about it. I just don't even trust. I don't know. So I'm going on a rant. I feel like you have more information. Sorry.
Oh, I could talk for hours, man.
I love it.
For example, let me ask you this. You are a smart person. So let me ask you, did you know that Pfizer manufactures Remdesivir?
Dumb that down. What is Remdesivir?
Remdesivir is what they were giving the people in the hospital on the ventilators that was killing their kidneys, and they were dying from that.
Yeah, dude. I did not know that, but I knew the ventilators were killing people too. And they have a higher death toll than most things. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gilead is the label that is on Remdesivir. Gilead, how do I say that? They contract Pfizer to make the actual solution. Then we send it out unlabeled to Gilead, and Gilead puts their label on it. Which that's not necessarily profound. We do that with other products, like we'll send it somewhere. But what's bad about this, in my opinion, is Pfizer knew it looked bad to have their hands in everything and their name on everything. So why wouldn't they just try to kind of hide behind Gilead? Nobody knew who Gilead was until Remdesivir. And so I think like that was nefarious. That was ill-intended also, because think about it. If Pfizer gives you the vaccine, they give you the treatment in the hospital. Why? I mean, I get that they're a big pharma head and everything, but a lot of people, smart people, had no idea.
That happened to my mom. I don't know if it was that drug or not, but her kidneys shut down in the hospital, and they're trying to get me to pull a plug on her and stuff. These just straight demons. Like, do you want to pull the plug? You want to pull the plug? I'm like, oh my god, no, probably. Like, not at all.
Think of all the money.
Yeah, it's just like what? Yeah, it's like, man, hell must be a crazy annoying place to go to with all these like people talking crazy. I mean, so what did dumb that down a little bit more for me. So when you go on a ventilator, which kills you basically, and you can never regain your breathing again. My mom's on a non-invasive ventilator right now, which is like they're killing her basically. They're murdering her basically. So sorry, but what they give you that drug for? What is the reason they tell you they give you that drug?
That it's the only thing approved to treat in the hospital. That's what they basically tell you there's no other options.
So basically, when you go on a ventilator, they give you something that breaks down your kidneys and liver. Did you say?
Kidneys, for sure, kidneys, but I think it's maybe liver and maybe something else too.
That makes sense. The liver breaks down. So, okay, that's nuts. And psychopathic that's just crazy to me that people can even do that on account. And a lot of these people just think they're doing the right thing. To be fair. A lot of these people just they're like, I went to college. I'm doing the right thing.
They're indoctrinated. You could tell somebody 2 + 2 = 5. And if eventually you do what everything we saw during COVID, where it's people who are risking their careers and everything, if they say 2 + 2 = 4, then they lose everything. Right. And so it's just, even
I'd rather have a soul than a job, and I think that separates me from a lot of people. And I'd go broke no matter. I don't even care. I don't value money.
When I went to Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, I thought I was going to some dude in his basement, and it was like a small thing. I actually didn't even know who they were really until going.
We're talking to him right now. He'll be on soon too.
James.
Big fan of him, honestly. He's brave, and I appreciate that. And yeah, you as well. I appreciate people like you risking these things, because like you're not just putting your career at risk, you're putting your life, your family, a lot of these things, and like myself even having this podcast. I mean, it's like I think so as well. I think that, we gotta win this somehow, and I don't want to win it as evil as they are. I want to do some good, and I don't want to fight. I don't want any violence. I want this to be over with. I want this nightmare to end, and I just want to have a fun life. I want to enjoy the next 60 years of my life, assuming it's here without the apocalypse. And I just feel like these people are idiots, and they're dangerous, and they're not as brilliant as they think they are. They're all morons and psychopaths. Like, no one evil is intelligent. They're what?
They're sloppy. They're real sloppy.
Well, they haven't had competition in forever. A billionaire hasn't had to compete in the real world in forever, probably, if ever, if they're born into it, you know? And it's just like, it's insane to me. And I think everybody's seeing through it. Like you start to see UFC fighters call them out and stuff. You're starting to see like, I mean, you won't get an NBA player. They're like, oh, China, I love China. But these UFC fighters are like Sean Strickland, I think is his name. He's calling these.
I just followed him today. That's funny you bring him up.
I did too. I just followed him today too. That's weird that we have that in common.
Huh.
I literally
Maybe
did
he was maybe trending in our stuff, and we just happened to both.
Fair, he was trending. Yeah, fair, he was, because he called that Canadian out. He was just like calling him out for voting for Trudeau and stuff. And like they're trying to make him look stupid, and he just like owns him. And like that's what we need right now. We need heroes because there's no Superman and no one's coming for us. So I mean, no one's coming for us, and we have to get all the information out and not look crazy like Alex Jones, and then just tell people what's going on. He's like, he's right. He looks crazy, and that's the problem. He makes the truth look crazy. He's like a CIA Bill Cooper. Are you familiar with Bill Cooper?
I've heard the name.
He hold a panel horse. He was killed at his checking the mail because he was saying this in the 90s. He was saying people the
was he like in London or something or UK?
I believe he was American, but I could be. I don't know his location of death, to be honest. Now that you asked me, but he was an American at least. He's basically the real Alex Jones. Like Alex Jones is probably a CIA plan, but from my perspective. But all thoughts are my own, no one else's. But I'm saying, but no. Anyway, I feel like you have way more information than me just like rambling. So okay, like what is do you have an exit strategy for this? Like what is the like what do we do to get out of this terrible situation they put us in? Like we're like everybody's just dying probably soon. You know?
Well, it's the reason I still tell my story. I wanted to get to the right people who can do something about it. I noticed that you had Robert Kennedy Jr. in your intro, and he was one of the first people who contacted me after my story came out. And we talked on the phone for a long time, and I really had hope in him. I really like him. I still really like him. But I haven't heard from him on the documents and stuff because I sent him everything I had with a breakdown of everything, and then nothing. But then he also announced this presidential campaign. So I was thinking maybe he was just super busy.
Oh, he's
But and then like Donald Trump, I never heard from him. And like people like to claim ignorance on Donald Trump, that he was just ignorant and stupid, didn't know what he was doing. And I'm like, okay, well, I would like to inform him of why this was a bad decision, because I like to say I'm a key Tom whistleblower, because what that means is that the Pfizer lied to the government. And so they said Trump approved Operation Warp Speed under the pretense of they would still follow good manufacturing practices, GMP. I am proof, and I have proof that they did not. So they lied to the government. They committed fraud to the American people and the world, really.
Yes, ma'am.
And I can prove that. And I'm still waiting for somebody like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, somebody to put this information out there, because it's really the nail in the coffin to all the theories, and it makes it just conspiracy, which is they conspired to kill the American people or the world.
The world really, sadly, it's a global takeover. Yeah, no, Donald Trump tried to push the vaccine with the military, is what he said. He goes, I'm gonna push the military out to get this vaccine. Like, I mean, these guys are all in the same club, with the same high schools. The kids went to the same schools. They're all on the. It's like pro wrestling. There's no real teams or something. I don't know. That's my camera. Sorry, but no, there's like it's crazy. There's no. I mean. And that's the thing I was saying. There's no one coming for us. Basically, there's no Batman, and there's no one coming for us. So
Well, and like I truly believe. Like people ask me, why did you do what you did? Why would you risk everything to come forward? And I'm like, why wouldn't I? If something's wrong and it's wrong, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was just raised different. I'm raised in Kansas. Maybe it's different outside my box. I don't know. But my mom always told me, never lie, and she would punish me if I lied, and like, I don't know. It's just, I guess I believe the whole thing was God driven, because I the day that everything like changed with Pfizer, I was already a Christian, but I tried not to pray at my desk openly. But one day I was just so overwhelmed with all the information that I just prayed, and I said, God, what am I doing here? If you want me out of here, if I'm in a place I shouldn't be, you're going to have me fired, because I had too many eggs in the basket to just leave on hunches, right? Like I didn't have really proof yet. I was just seeing weird stuff. And I said, use me while I'm here. I want to be used, whether that's just sharing the gospel or whatever it is. I want to be used while I'm here. And like 2 weeks later, I found all the documents. So
amazing. God,
and it was an accident too. It was an accident that I found those things.
It wasn't an accident for God. It was an accident for you. And that's what's amazing, man. God is amazing, dude. And like, and that's crazy. Like, because just a little bit of backstory. Like for like the last week or so. Okay, So pretty much I was like chain smoking weed and eating edibles a bunch, like every day basically. And I basically stopped.
I've been there
that.
too.
Yeah, and I love it. The time and place. It's amazing. Time and place stuff.
You learn.
And I'm just out of that. And in the last 4 episodes I've had, right? I had this guy named he was a rapper originally named Boonk Gang who became a Christian. That one was on purpose. I booked that guy on purpose because of that story. And then the next lady was an exorcist that ended up being like Christian and had this similar story to what you're saying. The rapper, his name's Holy Cabana now. John, his name's John. So John basically had a similar story where his friend was shot next to him or something like that. And he called his mom, telling his mom he's dying, and Jesus like came to him. That was his story. The next lady had a near-death experience, and Jesus came to her. The other guy, I didn't ask you how he told me, but I forgot. He said he didn't have like a magical experience like we had, but his girlfriend at the time was sick and something like that. He prayed over her and she healed. And then he calls himself the demon eraser. He's like a modern.
I saw that interview. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, modern exorcist. And then you had a similar story too, and I didn't know that, so I did a little more homework that you're born again. I was just kind of researching you today because I wanted to know what I was talking about. Because science is my field, so the last 4 episodes have been like that ever since I got sober. Well, I'm drinking 1 beer instead of like 30 beers, instead of like a bunch of like, you mean like I'm like, this is sober for me. It's but I'm just saying, like, I got off that thing. I'm remembering my dreams again, and I have like predictive dreams.
Oh man, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it all comes back when you stop.
I used to have night terrors as an atheist, and I started smoking weed actually. Legal weed in Kansas, and I was smoking it, and my dreams went away, and my anxiety went away. But things that also went away is my self-care, my self-determination, things like that. And then when I quit, wow, like the dreams, like I forgot what it was like to dream and it not be a nightmare or not have any dreams.
Yeah, it's weird. I go back to my childhood homes a lot. I had a couple childhood homes, and I go back to them every time. That's where I'm at in my dream every time. I'm in my childhood home I lived in most of my life. I'm at my grandparents' home where I lived my first 3 years. And that's where I'm at most of the time. And then I have predictive dreams. And my buddy Brian, who goes by Demon Eraser, like he was telling me that these evil entities were basically trying to block my dreams because I can predict the future in my dreams. And ever since I put this rosary on, and like I don't even take it off to shower or anything. It's probably too much. But I'm saying, like, I don't even take this off. A funny story with the rosary. So I was having a panic attack because I chain smoked dabs, which is normal for me. But it was normal for me. But I had a panic attack this day. My buddy Jeff, who's an author, who's been on the show too. He was grabbing my mail, collecting my mail. I got in some weird argument with him where he said something that gave me some ultimatum, like a joking ultimatum, and I'm just like. So just so weird at the time. I was like, oh, I don't care about that. Just burn my mail. And my rosary was in there on the way. So I think these dark entities were trying to make me argue with my friend to make him burn the rosary, because as soon as it got there, I put it on my wrist. The first time I put it on my wrist, all anxiety went away. And the reason I even ordered this was because I heard a story about Ted Bundy's last victim. I don't know if this is real or not, but Ted Bundy went into his last victim's room to murder her, and she fell asleep after she prayed with a rosary around her wrist, and something threw him at the wall. And the preacher or priest or whatever terminology, he talked to that lady at the time, and then was the priest that talked to him before his death sentence. And I remember hearing that story, and I'm like, I mean, he's got a rosary, and I've been at the best peace I've ever been in my entire life the last 3 days. Like it is the most peace I've ever had. I've been a very conflicting person. I've been a very just like I'm red haired. I'm very confrontational. I'm very just like aggressive and stuff. I had been, and now it's all went away. And then like you being in here with the information, the last 3 guests prior to you, like all being born again people, and like just weird energy. And then all the people that followed me on Instagram the last couple of days have all been Christians. It's like God's army is like swarming me right now, and it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful thing, and I think we have a chance at this. I think we ultimately win in the book anyway. But I'm saying on Earth we may have a chance in this, and I think you're part of that. And I also feel like I'm rambling, and you have more important information. But
no, you're not rambling. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Right. But I feel like that. This is all happening for some weird reason. All these people coming into my life, and I feel like this is the army of God surrounding me. And I know that sounds insane. And if I heard someone say that, I think it was insane, but I believe it, or I wouldn't say it.
Right. And you get a changed heart. Everything changes. I used to struggle with suicidal ideation, porn addiction, alcoholism, drugs, anything you can think of. And it all went away in one day. The only thing I still struggled with was weed. And I'm free of that now. But at the time, that was my hardest thing to quit. And but the porn addiction, the homosexuality, everything melted off of me that night.
It's all demons. It's all demons.
It's all demonic, and it really is, and that's how I know it is, because I literally felt it leaving my body. I literally felt them leaving. It was, and I hadn't even read the Bible, so I had no idea about any of this. I just thought I was crazy. Like, I genuinely thought I was insane, and I was afraid to tell anybody what I experienced. And I was on a really serious drug called Effexor, and I was given to it by my psychiatrist because I wanted to kill myself every day. It was a constant obsession of mine, and I had panic attacks a lot. And
Did you have unresolved trauma or pain? What got you there?
Looking back, like, it doesn't hurt me anymore. So, like, sometimes I have to think about, I caught my mother having an affair. I've been raped twice.
That's where it preys on that.
Trauma opens portals in your brain to demons. That's how it works. That's why the satanic, they want to cause trauma so that you're more susceptible to demonic oppression and influence. So that's the whole point. And I was on this drug Effexor, and it actually worked for a few months. The suicidal thoughts kind of went away. I wasn't having panic attacks. And then one day it just all came hitting me back. And I called my psychiatrist, and she was like, yeah, we need to up your dose. And I'm like, but you told me that this stuff is like impossible to get off of anyway. Why would I want to up the dose? And shortly after that, when I was getting ready to kill myself, she told me, I had been on it, I think 4 to 6 months at this point. And the day I was going to kill myself, they told me the effects of withdrawing from that drug was the same as heroin, and I would have to be in the hospital if I decided to quit it. Unless I wanted to micro-wean myself off it over months and months, which I didn't want to do that either because it had horrible side effects no matter what. And I quit it cold turkey that day, and I never had a single side effect.
Good. They lie to you, man. Like, I've quit a lot of drugs, and they're not hard. And like, weed was the hardest for me, honestly, because
it is addictive. I don't care what anybody says.
Mentally,
it can be addictive.
Because like, I had no coping mechanisms from 16 to 37 other than weed for stress. I mean, I would just smoke to mass depression, to mass stress. I still have to I have to like work out constantly, or like go for like long walks or something to compensate for what marijuana used to do. And then in time and place, I'm not trying to knock people. I mean, one of my sponsors are edibles. You should all buy the edibles still. But
there's a medicinal place, but when it becomes an addiction, it's a problem.
Exactly. And it was my mom being sick. I had to mask that. I had to basically hand feed my mom and stuff. And then she's in the hospital right now, so I'm trying to figure out that in the next move. But basically, that just seeing your mom sick is the worst feeling on earth I've ever felt in my entire life. And it makes every other thing I've ever had just kind of like ridiculous. But I feel like people want to hear about the Pfizer stuff instead of like me. This is my therapy session. So, but I think, okay. So, what other like documents do you have and stuff like that on this? Because like I think like that's what's important right now, is you have access to a lot of stuff that I don't, and that also people have been talking about for years, and you have evidence, which I think's the point of all this, really.
Well, one of the things that is the big conspiracy theory is the graphene oxide, which everybody says, oh, that ain't in there. That ain't in there. Pfizer says it's not in there. Well, I have two things to say. One I can prove, one I can't. One is hearsay that I heard from other people who worked in the plant that worked in a different department than I did. One was from compounding, which is where they mix the drugs, get it ready to be filled into the vials. The other one was incoming quality, which is my job, but dealing more with warehouse and the raw materials that come into the plant. And they both said they didn't know each other. One had been there for 40 years and one had been there for, I don't even know how long, but she retired shortly after I whistleblew. And they told me that the Pfizer vaccine comes pre-made in bags with only Chinese markings.
Huh.
Yeah. And so the normal process is you receive these ingredients. You kind of have a step-by-step checklist of how these ingredients are mixed, what they are. It kind of like baking a cake. But instead with this product, what it was like, this is just an easy comparison, is bag A, bag B, bag C, bag D. And that was essentially all they had. And then they mixed it together, sent it out to be filled. But they said it was the first time they never knew what it was. Usually they always know what it is. And that was a red flag. So I say all that to say this, that there are these things that I call the graphene oxide emails. And what they are is 2 emails. And one is from Sandra. Please, I want to give this disclaimer. Please do not harass these people. This is not to dox anybody. This is not to give their personal information so that they can be harassed and attacked. Some of these people are trying to do the right thing in these emails, and unfortunately, their names are just on here, but I don't black it out because then people will say this is fake. So please do not reach out to these people. These people do not deserve to be attacked. Pfizer does. So this woman here, Sandra, reached out to a man named Steven, and she says, hey, I'm getting this question from the public. Is graphene oxide in the vaccine? And she proposes this answer to Steven. Is this okay to say? And her proposed answer is graphene oxide is not used during the manufacturing of the vaccine, and the final product does not contain graphene oxide. We cannot guarantee that minute amounts of substances are not contained in raw materials obtained from our suppliers. To ensure we have a consistent and reliable supply of medications, we must use a network of suppliers and manufacturing sites globally for both active and inactive ingredients. So that is one. This is the other one. This was Steven's response to her. Hi, Sandra. It would obviously be preferred to not add the second sentence, we cannot guarantee, but it is our common disclaimer to protect against any ingredients that may be in the raw materials that we do not confirm against in any way. If we have the ability to specifically omit it, we should, but it would likely require some extensive confirmation from GCMC. But I think that this is the statement that we should go with for now. Hopefully our customers would appropriately consider that disclaimer in the right way. So essentially what all of that says is, hey, we can't guarantee graphene oxide isn't in your vaccine. We don't have it listed as an ingredient, and it's not intentionally put in there during the filling of the product. However, we can't guarantee it isn't in there because we get our stuff from other places globally. That's what that says. And he says, no. Don't say that. Just say the first part, that it's not listed as an ingredient, it is not in the manufacturing.
That's crazy, man.
So right there, they acknowledge it very well could be in there.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. No, that lady in that video, that doctor you're talking about earlier, like was explaining it in the blood work and stuff. That's crazy. Like, yeah, I mean, so what do you think the goal was? Do you think it's China trying to kill us, or do you think it's like American companies funding China trying to kill us? It's like, I mean, it seems like a globalist takeover, but I'm not sure by who. That's like the biggest thing, other than like, I mean, I said who, which is ironic, but you know.
I can speculate all day. I think what I've come to the conclusion, I have two views. I have the views that America is this great country that would never kill its own citizens. And then I have the other side that there are powers in control that we don't even know their names, right? Fair. So I personally think from the one side that America is good is that China's trying to kill us. Okay. That's my input there. The other side is it's all an illusion that there's any division whatsoever. There's already a one world agreement upon most countries and leaders.
Yeah.
And so if America, which we all know that the Bidens are, you know, who they are and who funds them, that it wouldn't surprise me, you know, like if it was intentional from our own government and from world government.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, no,
I
feel the same.
Hope.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like it's either China or it's bigger than that. It's somebody using China as their military and their hub for like medicine and stuff, but or for lack of terminology, medicine. But I think yeah, no, it's crazy, and I think that like more information coming out, we could solve this. And I think that I think the truth. I mean, it's the classic saying, "The truth will set you free." You know, I think more people and do your own homework. Don't believe anything we say, even if you read the documents. Just do everything.
I post. Like I said, I have everything on my Twitter, and you can just scroll my page, and I've posted everything I can. Sometimes it's in threads. You know, it's not just right there and everything. But I try to prove everything I can, and I tell you when I can't prove something. For example, I can't prove that those people told me that.
Yeah, and even if you have exact truth, people should do their own homework just to solve it themselves and get to the same conclusion. Because like that way you get rid of all skepticism and we're all gonna have to find the truth ourselves, regardless of it being documented and dated and all that stuff. But there's your Twitter on the screen too, if you guys want to just look that up and stuff. Definitely very informative and stuff like that, and very brave to come forward and stuff like that. I think it's way braver than cutting your dick off and wearing a dress like that. The modern bravery. It's way braver than the modern.
I think the bravery is telling people, yeah, do it. Do you remember like when that used to be like the privacy of your own home kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then now it's like you're brave for coming out of your home and letting the world know you do it and that you love doing it and that they need to love that you do it.
It's just no, it's very bizarre to me. I'm from Missouri. We have similar values probably, and it's very bizarre to me that like sucking 17 dicks is brave now. And I don't even mind it to be fair. I just don't care as much as like I mean I think it's all reckless sin and it's boring. The older I get, the more
Do you remember the don't ask, don't tell stuff? Like,
yeah.
I don't care if someone's gay. I just don't want you to tell me I have to love it too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to go tell kids about it that have no idea what it is. You
And
know?
I feel like they're saying the gay people are not equal because they're a protected class of people that cannot be insulted. And I'm just like by their own definition they're not equal. But I think everyone's equal. I think we're all humans. There's one race, the human race. I think they all want to divide from the oneness of God. And they'll do anything to do it.
They're up there. We're all ants, and they're shaking the ant farm, and the ants are fighting each other.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no reason for us to be fighting about these things. The only reason it is there is to make us hate each other. I don't know if they're trying to cause like a war breakout amongst their own people, which is a theory that I don't think is crazy anymore. Because I think we're kind of seeing it. Like, I couldn't imagine living in New York City or LA or Chicago or, quite frankly, St. Louis. St. Louis scares me too.
Well, St. Louis question for the rest of the world. If you can handle St. Louis, you can handle everywhere else. And that's kind of what I like about it. But I don't know. I like St. Louis for different reasons, but I can see how it's terrifying. But no, I'm from the suburbs, so I live here for excitement. You know, I live here for the excitement. But
Yeah.
I think they're definitely trying to push a civil war, sell both sides of the guns, and then I think they're trying to push a world war and sell both sides of the guns or every side of the guns. It's just the same thing that's probably happened over and over and over again. I mean, these people doing abortions are no different than the child sacrifices in the pyramids. These
That's
people
right.
are. I mean, these evil has existed for a long time, and it's always been a battle of good and evil. And you'd always tell. I can tell God's real for many reasons, but the main reason. I mean, not the main reason, but one of the reasons would be that like how mad darkness gets at the word of Jesus. How mad it gets around God. They're like, well, there's like 400 gods. Which God are you talking about? I'm like, the one you're mad
Does
at.
anybody get mad when you say you worship a leprechaun? I don't think so.
They don't.
People get mad when you say that you worship a unicorn or that you have faith in a unicorn. No. Why do they get so mad?
They get super
About
mad
God
about
and
Jesus though, and then they try to act like I'm just supposed to be nice all the time because I'm a Christian. Like I'm supposed to just be like
Oh,
okay, you
man.
can disrespect me. And
Jesus
just
chased people with a whip. Okay. That's how serious he took people misusing the house of God. And
that was his biggest thing. That was the only sin he got mad about that I've ever seen, like that I've ever read about anyway. I don't know him personally. I mean, I know him personally, but I didn't know his life. I wasn't there. But I'm saying like that was the main sin he got mad about was basically the church.
the gambling and using the church for sinful things, which all of the churches, I mean, I live in a small town in Kansas, okay?
Mhm.
And my mother-in-law wanted me to take my son to this church that my husband went to as a kid. And I just looked him up. I always do that. I look up anything. I looked it up and they had just celebrated Pride Month and they said that they welcome all backgrounds and are accepted and God loves them just the way they are. And I'm like, oh man, like, don't get me wrong, you are loved and we should be open doors to people of all sinful lifestyles because everyone has a sin. Everybody has a sinful lifestyle. But the difference is we don't tell them keep doing it. You're fine the way you are. It's you try to be better. You try to be more like Christ, which
daily. You know, it's a daily thing. It's like I sin all the time. I'm a Christian and I sin all the time. And I apologize every time.
That's why we needed the Savior in the first place.
Yeah, and I find out more sins that I have, like whenever I read more, you know, I'm like, oh man, I can't do that either. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude. You know, like over and over, like, and it's sad. The older I get, the more I another Kansas group that I've had on the show several times. Shirley Phelps from the Westboro Baptist Church, and like sadly, I agree with her. The older I get, I'm like, did I just like when I was a kid, I was like, this lady's nuts, whatever. Yeah. And then I talked to her. The more I get to know her, I'm just like, this lady's pretty on point, and it's terrifying that she's on point. I don't know. It's weird. I've had
you
her
want to hear something scary?
Yeah.
Okay. So before coming to Christ, I told you I was far left, atheist, liberal, right, bisexual. I used to advocate for transing children because I used to say you're just going to set them up for suicide because they're going to be a man is obviously a man when he tries to dress like a woman and vice versa, right? So if you get them when they're kids and they decide when they're kids, then they won't have to go through that. And I remember arguing like the day that they made gay marriage legal, I walked into my workplace. I had a gay coworker and then a Christian coworker. And I walked in and I was like, woo, gay marriage is legal. And the Christian rolled his eyes. And then the gay guy was like, yeah. And I said, why'd you roll your eyes? And he goes, the next thing is pedophilia. Just you watch. And I'm like, what? How dare you compare the two? And it's just, that wasn't the point. It wasn't that all gay people are pedophiles. The point is they're going to keep making it more and more depraved, more and more down the line. And I used to advocate for that stuff. I used to make fun of Christians. I hated going to church. My mom made me go to church till I was 18. Never listened to a word that came out of the pastor's mouth, though. And I look back now, like there are times like I shouldn't be alive. Like I've made a lot of poor choices in my drinking days when I didn't drink till I was 21. So from like 21 to 25, drunk all the time. And I just look back now and I'm like, I think that's why God saved me, so that I can tell people, hey, like it's not, oh, I've been a perfect Christian since I was 4 and I've never done any of those things. So I can't relate. I can't understand. I come from the farthest left that you can think of. And I also like to tell my story so that, let's say there's people out there struggling with their children who believe what I used to believe. There's hope for them. Keep praying for them.
God bless them.
Loving them. That's the important thing. You don't disown your kids.
You don't disown anybody. You don't disown anybody is the trick. Like even more so. I mean, like we gotta extend.
The trash will take itself out. If they want to leave you, they will. The Bible says, "Do not beg a person to stay, but let them go. But don't leave them." That's what it says.
Wow.
So,
well put. Yeah, and that's well
so I don't leave anybody, but I let them walk out the door if they want to go.
Fair, and I'll shield myself from toxicity sometimes, but I just like I can't be mad all the time. So it's just like I just can't even. But it's definitely a weird time, and I think most Christians that I've talked to recently had a similar story that we have. I was a similar way. I was reckless, and I made fun of God. I called myself God. I had so many blasphemous things that came out of my mouth, and I apologize a lot about that.
Does it make you cringe? Like it makes you go, ooh,
yes.
I was so bad. Yeah, I get that a lot.
Honestly, makes me want to cry. I feel really sad. I feel sad about it, and I feel that I don't ever want to create that pain to God. God's done everything for me, and I feel like I let Him down in my youth, and I apologize about it ridiculously. And I just didn't know. I mean, to be honest, I was not raised in a religion. I never went to church as a child, at least. And I just like it was like I was a disgusting human being, and I treated people poorly, and I caused all the pain. My grandparents died, and I took that out on everybody for a decade. And basically, that's not an excuse.
Trauma, remember?
Yeah, it's not an excuse, but it's like I feel like it's the reason. I don't excuse anything I did, but I do think that like I heard a lot of people. I dated multiple people at the same time and laughed about it when they found out. I was just nasty and evil, and I treated everybody as poorly as I felt. And now I'm trying to do the opposite. Now I'm trying to people constantly tell me to like write off people and all this stuff, and I'm like these people. I fight it, and I try to do the right thing, and I try to do good, and I try to bring everybody to God as much as I can, but I'm not gonna like beg somebody to serve God. I mean, I make a lot of jokes that
God's in control of that. Like you can only plant the seed; He makes it grow, right?
We have to follow it. I was talking last night with Brian, and we're discussing I'm like, does everybody get this opportunity and they ignore it, or do only certain people get it? And I'm not really certain yet. I'm trying to figure out if Jesus comes to everybody the way He came to me, or if God comes to everybody like He came to me, or whatever terminology.
I think He knows, right? Like God doesn't throw His pearls before swine. God knows the heart. He knows if someone will listen or if someone will know the truth.
Fair.
He'll know the timing too. Because do you know how many times I talked to God as an atheist? If you do this for me, I'll believe you. If you do this for me, I'll believe you. You don't care about me. You let me hurt. If you were real, why is this happening? Like just hateful, nasty things to God. And then I think when He did reveal Himself to me is because I believed in my deepest core, I believed God was real and that Jesus was Messiah. So it's like that had never happened for me before. And that's when He was like, okay, she believes now, I'll reveal to her. And just ever since then, He's just keep bringing stuff off my eyes, everything. And something that He's revealed to me, I believe, that I think Christians need to hear and unbelievers need to hear is that nobody goes to hell because they're gay, because they're trans, because they lied, because they drink, because they do drugs. People go to hell because they refuse to accept the Messiah and they don't repent of their actions. So when people sit there and say, you're gay, you're going to hell, well, they're not going to hell because they're gay. They're going to hell because they refuse to repent and accept the Son of God. Okay. Definitely. So that's something I think people need reminded of is we like to single out other people's sin, but we seem to ignore the sins that everybody partakes in: anger, lust, greed, all of them. And so I think that's important that people hear that.
No, you're definitely right. I think that's definitely the thing. We're all sinners. I mean, nobody's even close to perfect that I've met, myself included. But no, I definitely agree. And like we all make mistakes and stuff. And I get that. And like honestly, religion, Jesus, God, all that seems foolish when you're not living in the light and the truth. It really did seem foolish to me when I was a kid, or not. I mean, when I was in a lot of pain, it definitely seemed foolish. I mean, when I was in pain when I was a child, when I was in pain like recently, I mean, it's the only way I got through it probably. So it's like weird, you know. This gets a weird thing, and I think that no, I think everything you said was right about that. I think that you don't seem like a bullshitter, and I think you seem authentic and stuff. And I think a lot of what you said is, I mean, very on point with the Pfizer stuff and with God. I believe the same thing. It's like and I hope everybody finds that eventually. You know, I think that, and that's the difference in this time period too. I think a lot of people that don't live in the truth of God are easily tricked by the medical institutions and propaganda.
People turn to another faith. What's the song? You're gonna believe you're gonna worship somebody, and it's either gonna be God or the enemy. And people who think they're not worshiping anything like an atheist, they actually are. Like when I look back at my life when I was an atheist, and I believed that either aliens put us here or that it was just typical evolution. You just start to think it's true, even though there's no evidence for it, which I hate to say it. I did the research. There is no evidence of what the typical evolution theory is. And same with aliens putting us here, because I think I know what aliens are, and it ain't some extraterrestrial being that wants to help us.
Yeah, and it's like, and like the counter to God is hilarious to me. It's like a big bang. That's what they call it. A big. I mean, like how
if that is true, it's God speaking. That's what's crazy to me.
And if it's not, how dumb does that sound? You mean it's like, oh, look, dude, no, there's just like a giant explosion.
Two atoms bumped together. Okay, where'd those atoms come from?
Well, and even if that's true, it's like, where's your evidence? Like, where is your science? Science has evidence. Like, you mean like supposedly everything is theory when it's like an idea and has a little bit to show. Where's the evidence? Like there's no scientific evidence of that happening at all. I mean, not to be rude, but and like I just don't think that's. I think it's absurd. And I think
what we know as science is not practiced today. When you and me, how old are you?
37.
Okay, I'm 31. When we went to school, we were told the scientific method is observable, testable, repeatable, provable. And now it's just, if someone in a lab coat says it, it's science.
Yeah. I saw this like TikTok. It was like 9 out of 10 scientists believe whoever funded them.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. It's a similar concept. It's like, yeah, no, I want to keep these like an hour and stuff. And you're welcome back if you all the time. It's like this is great, honestly. And but if you want to throw out some promo and stuff, I'll pull up your Twitter again. But if you want to throw out any kind of promo or anything like that, definitely add her on Twitter if you use Twitter or X, whatever.
Twitter is the most free social media platform I use besides Clout Hub. I highly recommend if people want censorship-free videos and a platform where they know that they're not going to wake up one day and all their stuff be gone. Clout Hub is great. I actually am an influencer concierge there. I help people get their podcasts and stuff going on the platform. Twitter is where I post all of the like picture proof and my statuses kind of thing. And then Instagram is more personal. I don't really post stuff that I can get taken down for on there as much, which is the same handle as the Twitter one.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing your time and coming on here and going backwards in your career by doing this cell phone podcast. I appreciate it. And if you're one of the hundreds of people that are watching this live, thank you for spending your time on a Thursday watching this. We'll be back next week. You'll find out the guests as I pull them up because I'm not going to tell you yet. And God bless each and every one of you. I hope all your dreams come true. Thank you, Melissa. And without guests, without the Smokies Edible sponsor, without Luxurious Bastard sponsoring, without the people watching and listening, this would be delusional. This would be a guy sitting in a kitchen talking to himself and being delusional. So thank you all for taking part in this. Otherwise, my dreams wouldn't happen, and I'm very aware of that. So thank you all, and God bless you.